Hey, I'm David Dawson, and we are jumping into the second week of Advent. And I don't know about you, but I know growing up as a kid, we would do the Advent wreath at the house, and I would see that second candle lit, and it felt like it was already like a year had passed since we had lit the first one, and we still had like 3 more, then 2 more. And lighting the second one was almost worse because it was like, okay, we made progress, but just a tiny bit of progress, and we still got so much more to go. Because I was excited about Christmas, because Advent is hard, because waiting for Christmas is hard, because nobody else is waiting for Christmas, because we're all listening to music, the decorations are up, and we're excited because I think, looking back, I know a lot of it for me is connected to childhood, because Christmas seems like everybody's going to be giving me gifts. Even like, you know, this person who I've never even met from the North Pole is going to be, he knows me well and is going to be giving me gifts based on my behavior. And it's amazing, and the potential is sky high that all of my deepest desires are somehow known and will be met, you know? And that's it's hard to not get excited. And then you put the best food and the music, and, you know, even we're pretending that it's snowing here in Louisiana, but the snow covers all the bad things and it's nothing but good and beautiful. And then in the church, we're like, just wait, you got one song you can sing, and it sounds kind of dismal, and you got to wait for all the candles to be lit, and there's no decorations but the purple in the churches, you know. And then once we do start just singing Christmas music, everyone else is tired of it, you know, once Christmas begins. And I think it's funny how once January 2nd comes around, it's always really depressing for like everybody. All the Christmas trees are at the curb. We feel like garbage, you know, because we've been eating poorly and sleeping poorly for a couple of weeks now. And it's depressing because we've got to get back to normal. And normal means that all the things that we hoped for didn't actually happen. Or, you know, they happened for a little while, but then they're gone. They didn't stay. And so one of the things I think that struck me at one point was that as I grew older, Christmas became something that, like, I don't know, I was almost set up for disappointment. It's not going to be this great, amazing, life-changing thing that I hoped it would be. I can maybe distract myself for a little while when the rest of the world says you could take time off of work and school. We can distract ourselves, maybe pretend like everything's going to be great for a little while, and that's as good as it's going to get, you know. When the truth is, Christmas, the first Christmas was hard. When God became man, things were nuts. Like, they had to be in Bethlehem because this jerk governor was jerking people around and doing a census so he could get more taxes. And then this crazy king was like, I want to be in power, so anybody else is going to die, you know. So they had to run to Egypt. Like, it was insane, and so extremely difficult. They had birth in a manger. So I think a lot of times, if I really sink into the reality of what we're waiting for, it's hard, and it's messy, and it's not. It doesn't feel like all my deepest desires are going to be fulfilled. It feels crazy. It feels like the world is a messed up place. You know, and then especially if you're going through some tough times right now, the next couple of weeks isn't necessarily going to fix that, you know. So what are we waiting for? What did God come to do, right? What exactly did he come to be? And I think a question that I was faced with is, why did God become man, right? And one of the things that hit me at one point, it was like, God became man. A lot of times I heard growing up, he became man so he could show us how to be human, or because he could teach us better. And I think looking back, it's been about 2,000 years, and he did show us a lot about how to be human, and he taught us some wonderful things. But like, we're still sinning and suffering and dying, and people are still doing terrible things, and I'm not sure that's changed a whole lot. So did he fail as a savior, as a Messiah? I think a lot of times there's this kernel of disappointment, like maybe he could have tried a little harder. You know, he stuck around for like 30 years doing nothing but getting lost one time in the temple. That was the only thing worth writing about. And then for 3 years, and he was healing people and raising people from the dead. Well, they're all dead now. Lazarus had to die twice. I mean, that's pretty rough. And then he did things for about 3 years, and then he died, which was cool, epic, legendary. And then he rose from the dead, which is beyond legendary. And he stuck around for about 40 days, and he went back up. And then here we are 2,000 years later, and that's the answer, right? That's hard. And I don't know about you, but there's been times where, at least in my heart, I've been like, I don't know, maybe you could have stuck around a little longer. Maybe you could have got started before you turned 30. What was the point? Like, how is this the thing that changes everything? And why am I sitting in a dark place with just 2 candles lit, waiting for this? It definitely seems more tempting to just want to crank up the Christmas music and get back to childhood, you know, and pretend like there's snow everywhere. And I think we realize, like, when God became man, there were shepherds who came, and there were 3 wise men. And these 3 guys somehow had some intense insight into who this baby was. They showed up in Jerusalem like the newborn king is here. And everybody was kind of like, what are you talking about? And then they had to look at the prophecies. I think he's in Bethlehem. So they went to Bethlehem and they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And we know he brought gold because they knew he was a king. How they knew he was a king born in this manger blows my mind. Incense. Who do you offer incense to? Like a deity, some kind of god. Or maybe because he's a priest and he's going to offer the incense. I don't know, but they know that there's something about this baby that has something to do with God or priesthood or something. Like that's intense. What do you use myrrh for? You use myrrh for like embalming bodies, for burial. That's like, I'm going to go to a baby shower and bring like a coffin or a funeral pall. I'll be like, I know he's not going to use it for a while, but I thought maybe, you'd like to have this. That's weird. Like that would be hilarious. I mean, it would be ridiculous. Who invited this guy? But he brings the myrrh. Why? Because he's a king. He's also a priest. He's also God. But he came to die. Like this is his identity. The only thing that human beings can do that God can't do before Jesus came was die. Suffer and die. Why do we suffer and die? Is death a natural thing? No. Death is messed up. And if you've ever lost a loved one, you know that it's not a sense where like, yeah, they were here long enough and it's natural that they're gone. It is not natural. They should still be here. And everything in us recognizes this is not okay. And God knows that it's not okay. Death happens as a result of our sinfulness because we rejected him and said, we appreciate all that you've done for us, but we don't trust you. We're going to have to take it from here. And we don't do that very well. We make decisions that are messed up. We hurt each other. We hurt ourselves. The world is a crazy place. And now our bodies shut down and we die. Sometimes it seems peaceful. There's nothing peaceful about that. Sometimes it's violent and brutal, but it's a messed up place and it's a messed up reality that the soul that God placed in the human body to make it a living being gets separated from it and the body decomposes back to the things of the ground. That is a problem. And instead of God being like, guys, if you could just try harder, if you could just follow more laws, if you could just be better people and do what I asked you to do and follow my example, then we'd be fine. He says, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm coming in. I'm coming into your reality, which is that the world is a messed up place. That you got jerks who jerk you around. You got people who are killing people. Right? You got sin. You got separation from God and from one another. And I'm going to enter in. And for 30 years, I'm going to live in that mess with you. And then, when my hour comes that I have come for, the reason I came to you as a human being, to give myself to you, holding nothing back and say, I don't care how ignorant you are. I don't care how evil you are. I don't care how limited, selfish, alone, isolated, hurting. I'm not going anywhere. And I don't care how bad it hurts. I'm staying right here because with you means suffering and with you means death. So instead of leaving you to suffer and die because of your mess, I'm going to take every consequence of every sin into myself because that's what it means to be united to you. So I'm coming to be man so that I can enter into the places where you are most isolated, most suffering, most messed up, so that all the deepest desires that I created you with can be fulfilled because I, the God of the universe, am entering into death with you, so that even in the midst of your sinfulness, you will not be without me. We're not just going back to the Garden of Eden. We're not just going to try to undo what's been done. God's not going to take away our freedom and our ability to mess things up. But he is going to come in and say, even in the midst, matter of fact, even through your sinfulness, through your suffering, through all the terrible things that are happening to you, that's where you're going to find me the deepest. In the greatest happiness, when you're a kid and waiting for Santa to bring the things that you always hoped for, to the greatest suffering, when you've lost somebody that you love most, when you're suffering with the flu, when all your family's getting together for Christmas, whatever it might be, when you're suffering through a divorce, when you're just feeling the isolation and the disappointment of life, that's where I have come to be with you, holding nothing back. I don't care how bad it hurts. And then I've risen from the dead so that you can rise with me. I've united myself to you in death so that you can be with me in life and life eternal. Starting today, and it will never end. I will be with you. O come, Emmanuel. Rejoice, rejoice, for God is with us.